The desert night hung heavy over the ranch, stars burning low like dying embers. Coyotes cried in the distance, their howls echoing through the canyons, carried by the dry, restless wind. Inside the old barn, the lantern's flame flickered, throwing long, trembling shadows on the wooden beams. The air smelled of dust, oil, and something secret, something waiting to be found. "Open it up. Now." Her voice broke the silence like a whip crack, soft but firm, a command that made the rancher's hand freeze mid-air. His knuckles tightened around the lantern handle. He turned slowly toward her, meeting those steel-gray eyes that seemed to see right through him. She stood there, a woman carved out of the same hard land as he was, hat tilted low, hair streaked with gold dust, and a look that said she'd traveled far for this moment. He swallowed, uncertain. The chest before him looked harmless, old, battered, the kind of thing you'd find in any rancher's attic. But he knew it wasn't that. Chest had been sitting under his father's bed for years, locked, untouched, like a tomb that no one dared disturb. His father had forbidden him to open it, said it wasn't meant for him, said some things were better left buried. But now, years after his father's death, the woman was here, claiming she had a right to it. She'd ridden up at sunset, her horse foaming at the mouth, her voice trembling when she said his family's name. "Carter," she'd said. "You're a Carter, so am I." The rancher stared at her, jaw clenched. "You don't just walk onto a man's land and demand he dig up his ghosts," he said. But there was something in her voice, something desperate, that stirred a part of him he thought had long turned to stone. "Please," she whispered now. "It's the only way I'll know the truth." The wind pushed through the gaps in the barn walls, carrying a low moan, like the earth itself was warning them to stop. He hesitated, then set the lantern down, knelt by the chest and brushed away years of dust. The metal latch was rusted, the lock worn thin. His heart pounded. He reached for the key that still hung on a leather string around his neck. His father's key. With a deep breath, he pressed it in. The lock cracked open with a sound like breaking bone. The woman stepped closer, her eyes wide, the lantern light painting her face in gold and shadow. He lifted the lid slowly, and the smell of time itself rushed out. The lid creaked open, and the smell of old cedar and forgotten years filled the air. Inside the chest lay only a few things: a folded leather coat, a silver locket, and a letter sealed in cracked wax. The rancher's breath hitched. He hadn't seen that handwriting in over 20 years. His mother's. The name Evelyn Carter was written across the front in delicate, slanted strokes that made his chest tighten. The woman stepped closer, boots crunching softly against the barn floor. Her hand trembled as she reached out, fingertips hovering above the letter like it was something sacred. "That name," she whispered. "It's on the handkerchief I carry. My mother's name." The rancher's head snapped toward her, confusion darkening his gaze. "Your mother?" he said slowly, voice rough like sandpaper. "You're saying your mother was Evelyn Carter?" She nodded, her throat working hard to form the words. "She disappeared when I was a child. All I ever had was her handkerchief, stitched with that name. I came looking for answers, and I found this ranch, your name, the same as hers." The air thickened between them, the lantern flickering as if even the flame held its breath. He stared at the letter, feeling the ground shift under him. His mother had vanished when he was 6, left without a word, leaving him in the care of a father who never spoke her name again. He'd grown up with that absence, with the quiet ache of a boy who learned not to ask questions. Now here stood a stranger with the same story, same name, same loss, as if the past had looped back around to demand answers. He picked up the letter carefully, the paper fragile under his calloused fingers. The wax cracked as he opened it, and his mother's handwriting came alive again, delicate yet steady. "If you are reading this," it began, "then you have found her, and she has found you." The woman gasped. The words were meant for both of them. The rancher's heart hammered as he read further, his voice shaking. "There are truths buried deeper than any grave. We were separated to keep you safe, both of you." He looked up slowly, eyes meeting hers. The realization flickered between them, fear, confusion, and something deeper neither dared to name. The chest that once held secrets had now opened a door neither could close again. The rancher's hands shook as he held the letter, the paper trembling like a leaf caught in the wind. The words were blurring now, not from age, but from the tears he refused to let fall. The woman, Sarah, she had told him, stood silent beside him, her breath shallow, her eyes searching his face for answers she was afraid to hear. The letter continued in their mother's graceful hand. If fate brings you together, it is because it's time. You are bound by more than name or blood. You are the proof that love can endure even after shame. The rancher's voice cracked on the word blood. He stopped reading, the silence between them thick enough to choke on. Sarah reached out and took the letter gently from him, her fingers brushing his for the briefest second. The touch sent a jolt through him, bittersweet and cold. She read the next line aloud, her voice trembling. Your fathers were one and the same. He hid the truth to protect you, both from a world that would never forgive what he'd done. Her words echoed in the rafters. The lantern flickered, casting long, restless shadows across their faces. The rancher stepped back, disbelief etched deep in his features. No, he muttered, shaking his head. That can't be. My father, he was a hard man, but he wasn't. He trailed off, the rest caught in his throat. Sarah lowered the letter, her eyes glassy. I didn't come here to destroy your life, she said softly. I came because I needed to know who I was. All my life I felt something missing, like a ghost walking beside me. Now I know what it was. He looked at her, jaw tight, pain carved deep in every line of his face. You're saying we're... He couldn't finish it. The word family burned too hot to speak. The wind moaned through the cracks in the barn, and the horses outside shifted uneasily, sensing the storm brewing between them. He turned away, gripping the edge of the chest as though it could hold him steady. I thought I was alone, he said finally, voice low, raw. It turns out I was wrong. But I don't know if that makes it better. Or worse. Sarah folded the letter carefully, pressing it to her heart. Maybe it makes it real, she whispered. And maybe that's all the truth ever is.